Hey, what's up, guys? This is David Chase Taylor of 911truther.org. Today is October 31st, 2024. So, based on breaking news and events, it appears that CIA headquarters, located beneath CERN at Lake Geneva in Switzerland, is going to stage an escalating wave of violence on the evening of Halloween, designed to culminate in the overthrowing of the United States government in Washington, D.C. So exactly what type of attack is planned is obviously not known, but it appears that Israeli National Police, IDF soldiers, and other agent provocateurs will unleash an unprecedented wave of racial violence and hatred targeting multiple states in the Union, which will conclude with a rendezvous at the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C. So firstly, in respect to the numerology, the night of October 31st marks exactly 1,394 days since the CIA staged a false flag attack on the U.S. Capitol building back on January 6th of 2021. 1394 obviously contains the pi numerology of 3.14, which is also found in the date of January 6th, which is 16, or 16, which equals p, which equals pi, and this is called reflective numerology. So exactly what type of attack is planned for the evening of Halloween is obviously not known, but it appears that the CIA plans to unleash an unprecedented wave of domestic terrorism in the United States, specifically to sabotage the 2024 President Trump presidential campaign. After which he will likely be arrested for alleged foreknowledge or links to these impending attacks. So, like I said, exactly what type of attack is planned is obviously not known, but it appears that the CIA will use the Israeli National Police, who have a partnership with the city of Chicago, and or IDF soldiers, most likely the 25,000 that were called up during Operation Breaking Dawn a couple years ago, to unleash an unprecedented wave of terrorism, domestic terrorism in the United States, specifically to knock out Trump and as well as to overthrow the United States government. So it appears that the CIA plans to stage an escalating wave of mass shootings, ramming attacks, lynchings, draggings, mass stabbings, suicide bombings, truck bombings in the United States, and then these marauders, if you will, likely using military equipment or bulletproof SUVs, will then rendezvous at the White House or the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C. They will likely be bearing swastikas, Confederate flags, and other neo-Nazi and white supremacist symbology and regalia. Obviously, this attack is multifaceted, but the primary reason that the CIA has opted for this is because every single day I publish roughly 14 reports about a direct attack on the U.S. Capitol, Chinese, Iranian, Russian, and as well as domestic terror. And so the CIA needs to circumvent my reports, and so they plan to stage these terror attacks under the guise of an organic movement. So they're trying to basically to snake their way around my reports by making it appear as organic in nature, and that is precisely why Jewish comedian Tony Hinchcliffe, who performed at Donald Trump's New York rally at Madison Square Garden a couple of days ago, I believe it's on the 27th, he made this comment about Puerto Ricans being garbage. This comment was then subsequently used by Joseph R. Biden, calling Trump supporters garbage because they plan to stage a bunch of race war attacks in the United States on the evening of October 31st as pretext for a coup d'etat. There's also the realistic possibility that the CIA will stage attacks targeting Aurora, Colorado, Springfield, Ohio, which have been in the news for their number of migrants, as well as Haitian immigrants. It's imperative to note that once the CIA has orchestrated this massing, this rendezvous, if you will, of all these agent provocateurs and Israeli National Police and IDF forces at the White House, then they will begin to attack the White House. They will likely graffiti, vandalism, and trespassing, and then the fires will start. And they plan to burn down the White House and/or the U.S. Capitol building and/or other buildings in Washington, D.C. This is specifically designed to trigger an emergency proclamation. Likely Biden will likely die in this attack, and then Kamala Harris will be sworn in as the 47th President of the United States, and she will be immediately transferred to Peterson Space Force Base in Colorado Springs, Colorado, which will become the de facto capital of the United States going forward. Obviously, this impending attack is multifaceted. Its main goals is to knock out Donald J. Trump and to bring in the presidency of Kamala Harris, likely in the aftermath of a Joe Biden assassination, which will likely be executed under the guise of a heart attack, and as well to put the United States under martial law, deploy the United States National Guard. But once the attack ensues, it's just the beginning, because once the Capitol grounds are surrounded and the area evacuated, then the CIA will go ahead and stage what's called a CBRN-related attack, and that's a chemical, biological, radiological, or nuclear attack. It's most likely going to be a weaponized contagion, possibly anthrax, Ebola, smallpox, and that's because in Washington, D.C., and New York, as tall as the Twin Towers that came down on 9/11 are tall, they have these VX nerve gas stockpiles at Twinning Lake in Washington, D.C., as well as the Kennedy Onassis Reservoir in New York City, and they plan to unleash this on the American population. Obviously, that cannot be allowed to happen. So if any trick-or-treaters or Halloween festivities are attacked in any form or fashion, or any sort of race war attacks are executed on the evening of October 31st, and or the U.S. Capitol is attacked or arson fires are set, I kindly ask that you download this video and share with local, state, and federal law enforcement, military, and intelligence communities, as well as with local, national, and international media outlets. Lastly, there's also the realistic possibility that the CIA, in the aftermath of this video, is going to stage mass shootings targeting Halloween festivities. Just a few weeks ago, there was a mass shooting targeting a Halloween party. I forget where it was at. I want to say it was in Colorado or Missouri, but I could be wrong. And so the CIA will likely go to Plan B, which is also to use the Israeli National Police to commit horrific mass shootings across the United States as pretext for Joe Biden and or Kamala Harris executive orders banning assault rifles in the United States as pretext for a second American Civil War over the right to keep and bear arms. Obviously, this cannot be allowed to happen either, so obviously praying for a peaceful evening. Peace.